I'm Avraham Feld, and it's nice to be here with you. I'm honored to be here with Yair Davidiy. I'm involved in what's called Kol HaTorah, and I'm a great fan of Yair Davidiy and Brit-Am. Perhaps you all might remember Rodgers and Hammerstein's 1951 King and I. It's a little song they made, and I feel that Yair's work and the work of people like Yair and organizations like Kol HaTorah, it really fits, and it's quite humorous. In der beste Zeit seit es der Master. God said the master knows how to limit his field and does not spread himself too thinly. Yair Davidiy, through his specialized scholarship and laser-like focus, has been helping the tribes to fulfill the words of getting to know you, getting to hope you like me, within a valid Orthodox Jewish perspective. Quite possibly, every time one of his works come out, I say, quite possibly, this is the best of Yair's works. Example, the book on the tribe of Joseph, and within the Joseph of Manasseh. From the first page, the suspenseful, thrilling journey never lets up. Like Yair Davidiy's other inspiring, gripping works, this is one that will keep you fascinated and asking for more. But I really want to share the Rodgers and Hammerstein song, because from working with 10 tribers and from them getting to know Judah and Judah getting to know them, I tell you, this fits. It's a very ancient saying, but a true and honest thought, that if you become a teacher, by your pupils you'll be taught. As a teacher, I've been learning, you forgive me if I boast, and I've now become an expert on the subject I like most. Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me, getting to know you, but nicely, you are precisely my cup of tea. Getting to know you, getting to feel free and easy. When I am with you, getting to know what to say. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about you day by day. So Yair and Brit-Am and other organizations like Kol HaTorah, they're helping the tribes get to know each other again. And who could ask for anything more? One of the powerful and riveting things from a Jewish perspective is that we use evidence from the oral Torah quite frequently. With regards to the tribes of Israel, there are many deep insights into the Torah, God's Torah, that are readily accessible through the oral tradition. For example, Gematria. You heard of that? Numerology. The Hebrew letters have numerical value, so it's not accidental how things go together. But there are rules, and there are limits, and there are borders, and it all has to fit in to the general principles laid out in over 24,000 verses of the Hebrew Bible. I'll give you an example. A fruitful son is Joseph, Genesis 49:22. In Hebrew, Ben Porat Yosef equals 732. The Baal HaTurim points out that this is the Gematria of Ephraim and Manasseh, 732. So you see what was fruitful about Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh. And numerically, it's balanced. You probably know that the tribe of Issachar was blessed by Jacob. Our father Jacob compared the tribe to a strong-boned donkey. He bent his shoulder to the burden, Genesis 49. One understanding is that they were Torah learners. They took the yoke of Torah learning and put their energy to intensive learning. Remember, the donkey of ancient East was a high-spirited, hard-working, and reliable animal. So would the scholars of Issachar. They would be blessed with these positive, dynamic qualities. So with the oral Torah, you can see these nuances in verses. That's all what it's all about, and it enriches our understanding of God's love letter to us. In a lighter vein, a Jewish farmer asked his wealthy neighbor to borrow his donkey. The neighbor told him the donkey was far away in the northern pasture, when all of a sudden the sound of the donkey's hee-haw, hee-haw came from the barn. The poor farmer said, "You could have thought of a better excuse than that." Indignantly, the neighbor said, "Well, I've never been so insulted in my life. Do you believe me or a braying donkey?" So did you ever hear of a farmer or a sheep rancher that does not have a pretty good idea where their respective produce or livestock is? Their livestock, where the sheep, where the goats, where the cows? Similarly, whoever heard of a people who do not know who their legitimate keepers of their historic ethnic traditions are? Looking through the 5 books of Moses, we find that the tribes are mentioned 14 times. The order of the tribes are all different except in one case. The tribes are mentioned concerning the dedication of the shrine of the desert. You know, that first prefab structure. This was the Holy Tabernacle, the Mishkan. The numerous questions raised in the listings and order, one must of necessity look to the oral Torah. Indeed, satisfactory answers are given. These are reasons that accompany the journeys of the tribes since their inception. These explanations have unfolded with their 40 years movement in the wilderness of Sinai and subsequent entry into the land. The explanations of the oral Torah pass from generation to generation and can be found in our sources that preserve those explanations. We see, for example, in Exodus 28:9, a command, "And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones and grave on them the names of the children of Israel." In Exodus 28, it says 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names on the rest of the other stone, according to their birth. Without the oral tradition, we would not have known what to do, the full names or perhaps acronyms. How should it be done? Should the names fit evenly, even though some names are longer than others? It is a puzzlement. The ancient explanations were given along with the raw command and can be found today preserved in our literature, which has been passed on for that very purpose, where the details and the deliberations on how to deal with the letters of the tribal names are analyzed and calculated. They placed the names balanced on the 2 stones. It was left to tradition to determine where these important stones should be exactly positioned. The stones were placed one on each shoulder. The names of the tribes were engraved on these stones and also on the breastplate. Exodus 28. We find mention of the tribes made in 5 places concerning their respective encampment and numbers. In addition, we find the tribes mentioned for the purpose of census, counting them. In the Numbers 120, Ephraim submits to the census before Manasseh. However, in the census taken further on in the book of Numbers, we find that Ephraim takes a backseat to Manasseh. Why? The oral tradition once again fills in the gaps. They are listed vis-a-vis dispatching of spies, issues of inheritance, regarding their upcoming entry into the land of Israel. Many questions arise regarding significant changes in the orders of the tribes. What's it all about? Some lists reflect relative collective merit or individual merit, the righteousness of a respective representative. Where is birthplace a central motif? Where does flag bearing, war placement make the difference to each other in the land? Where does future geographic proximity decide tribal placement? When is a reason not given at all? All of these questions are answered in our oral tradition. Their sense, rhyme, and reason is found for what otherwise would be unintelligible. Jacob blesses the 12 sons. The major issue of each of the patriarchs is which child will receive the birthright. Who will carry the mantle of the Abrahamic blessing for all the families of the earth? The ultimate ingathering of the nations, when a universal acceptance of ethical monotheism will usher the world into a perfect period of tranquility. Jacob described the character of Judah by comparing him to a lion, and bestows upon him the gift and responsibility of the birthright. This, as you all know, The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the judicial interpreter's staff from between his feet, until Shiloh shall come, and until him shall be the ingathering of the nations. The meanings of the first part of the verse and the last part of the verse are relatively clear. The scepter is a symbol of kingship. When we have kingship, Yehuda is supposed to be running things administratively, when we have it. The judicial interpreter refers to the princes of the great courts that we have in every generation. As the two concepts merge together in one individual, they create a powerful image of a philosopher king, a scholarly sovereign. Then at the end of the verse, the Hebrew means gathering of the nations, as in the word kehila, congregation or collection, as in kohelet. The difficulty of this verse is found right in the middle of the blessing, until Shiloh shall come, when we can come up against the etymological mystery of the word Shiloh.